welcome to another episode of Making Mindset Matter with me, your host, Lorna McKenna. If you haven't already done so, please do click the subscribe or follow button so you can be notified when a new episode comes out each week. In today's episode of Making Mindset Matter, I am joined by another guest, my fellow friend and fellow coach, Luke. We cover discussing all things fitness and mindset, so please do listen in because there are some interesting topics discussed.
Fucking ready.
Have you accepted?
Oh, you've come back now.
Is it recording? Are we recording? Yeah, we are, aren't we?
Is it? It said yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready to go?
Ready to go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Making Mindset Matter with me, Lorna. Today I am joined by a very special guest, my good friend Luke. So Luke, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. So I'm Luke Ane. I'm essentially a superhero body mindset coach. So essentially, I take people's darkness and elevate it into light by basically creating them their super body and super mentality so that they can be the person that they always wanted to be and show up and do kind of superhero deeds as it was. So yeah, that's me.
That's you. I love that superhero mentality, superhero body. So Luke, we're all things superhero today, all things fitness and mindset. But just before we get into today's episode, obviously the name of the podcast is Making Mindset Matter. So I just want to ask you, why does mindset matter to you?
So mindset matters to me because it's kind of the facility for everything, right? Like if your mind's not in the right place, then things aren't going to work. Like for example, with the fitness journey, like if your mindset is kind of lagging behind you, you're always going to struggle to get to the gym. You're always going to struggle to follow a diet or follow something that is going to work for your health. Like it's always going to be an uphill battle. So for me, mindset is so important because as well, like mental health side of things, like that's why I trained, or that's why I still kind of train, is from a mental health aspect rather than I was kind of struggling with my body. It was always like, I'm just going to go train as hard as I can because that's my therapy, or that was how I handled gym for a long time. So yeah, mindset matters to me because it's just kind of like the pinnacle for life, really, isn't it? Like,
Yes, it
if your
is.
mindset's in the right place, then you're winning.
Yes, mindset is everything, and it does facilitate everything, like you said, especially in the gym. And I really like the mental health aspect that you touch on because for me, exercise and training is a form of therapy, like running. And we've been talking about a lot of David Goggins, and he says if you want to learn anything about yourself, do a physical challenge because you'll find out about the resilience of your mind and pushing through. You said about people struggling with the gym, it's an uphill battle, struggling to follow. What would you say, sort of, in your experience, are the main things that you find that people struggle with when it comes to fitness and their mindset towards it?
I'd say number one, a lot of people get really motivated to start and they say like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and they'll do it for 2 or 3 days, and then after that, things get a little bit difficult. The body, not only if you haven't worked out for a long time, if you then go and work out, your body's gonna have to take some real adjustment to what you're doing. So you are gonna be in pain for like those first few times. So then when you've scheduled that next session, you're going to have that old part of you, which is, also the reason why you started the fitness side of things, going, oh, you don't need to go today, or you can skip this, or you deserve this. So the resilience and like the discipline side of things kind of drop. And then people end up just kind of being in this never ending circle where they start and they stop, start and they stop. And then they get into that mentality where they say, oh, nothing ever works or nothing works. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, no shit, because you only did it for 2 minutes. Like you can't expect the result after like just a few weeks of training. Like you have to go all in with things like with fitness, and the same with like business. You have to go all in. You can't expect like a superhero result and be the number one person in your industry after just a few weeks. Like there's going to take a lot of mistakes. There's going to take a lot of learning. But that's the beautiful thing about it, is that you can learn while you're going, provided you're open to making the mistakes and you're open to failing. So I'd say, yeah, the number one thing is probably the discipline side of things and the resilience to kind of just keep going. Um, I guess another issue is kind of mm, the confidence sometimes is a big one. Like confidence is something that always comes to me. I tend to, like, the majority of people that come to me struggle with some form of confidence. So like sometimes it is difficult to take that leap into like going and then training. And then also if the knowledge isn't there, then confidence is also affected as well. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're kind of just shooting in the dark, really. Um, at just kind of what option is going to work. And sure, like I'm all for making something work for everybody's different situation, but the difficult thing there when you're trying to do it by yourself and not having the knowledge is it's always a guessing game. And then obviously the results side of things come even slower. I mean, don't get me wrong, like fitness journeys are a journey. Like it's not just a I'll do this for a bit and this will work. Like it is a journey. It is a lifestyle change if you do want to keep a lasting change. But at the same time, you have to do what works for you as well, and you have to have the knowledge behind that to make it work. So rather than a journey taking a year for a certain amount of change, you could still strip that back into 8 or 16 or 24 weeks, provided you have the knowledge and provided you stay consistent and resilient to what you're doing.
Yeah, there's so much you've said in there. There's so much I want to unpick. The first thing you talked about right at the start of that was about people not staying motivated when they get started and that never ending cycle of it doesn't work. I mean, I can talk from experience for so long that it was me. I'd lose a bit of weight, put it back on. But I think for me, the key thing was I'd set these goals, but I wasn't really changing the person I wanted to be. And I mean, I've done a whole episode on like my physical development journey. And again, what you said, it is a lifestyle change. With your fitness journey, where you obviously I've seen your transformation pictures from where the different stages, what was the sort of like, would you say was your key turning point in your fitness journey when you was like, actually, this is a lifestyle change and I need to change my lifestyle?
It was during my relationship last year that I'm not in anymore. So essentially, like I was very set on just putting on weight. Like I'd always been underweight and I'd always been quite skinny and quite lanky. So I was one of those guys that was like had to eat a lot to make sure that things changed. But I was kind of just eating everything and anything to put bulk on. And I was very set on just hitting 90 kilos. And I don't particularly know why, but I was also only sleeping like 5 or 6 hours a night. And then I was laboring all day, like sort of like 10, 11 hours of laboring, and then training as well. So, like, in terms of like stress and like just physical exhaustion, I was always absolutely shattered. But then I was also always going to the gym. Like, there was no missed sessions, because that was kind of like my therapy, as it were. But also, with that as well, like I was getting injured a lot. Like I wasn't able to go 2 or 3 sessions without an injury, um, just because I would just go into the gym and just absolutely obliterate myself after just say digging a hole all day, laboring. Like, yeah, I would just go in and absolutely mash myself up. And then it just basically hit a turning point where my relationship was coming to an end. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need someone to fix me right now because I'm just not there. Like my mindset was in a place where I knew that I wanted to carry my physical journey forward because at the time it was the only thing that I had which was progressing. It was the only bit of almost personal development that I had going on. So I was like, I just need someone to kind of guide this and make this really something. So then I got a coach, and you know, in a matter of weeks, a lot of the injuries were kind of remedied or at least like accounted for and getting better. And then things started shifting. But the biggest turning point, I guess, was the breakup, because I think with breakups you can go two ways. You have the one side of things where you'll have friends being like, "Oh, come on a night out with us, do this, do that," like you know you might get involved with another person like on the night or whatever, but it's not really like a fix. And some people can get like caught in a bit of a cycle of trying to deal with that issue by going out. But obviously we were in COVID, and when I was in the relationship anyway, I was getting paralytic every single weekend. So like when I was offered that turning point, it was almost like, well, I'm not going to drink because I want to commit to this now, and I'd rather just not suffer. Because during like previous relationships, when we'd broken up, like I had just suffered. Like I'd stayed in victim mode. I'd been like, why has this happened to me? I'd put all my happiness into these relationships type thing as well. So it was like that happiness was gone. So I'd be like depressed for like months. And I was like, coming to the end of that relationship, I was just like, I'm not gonna suffer. I was like, there is no way that I'm gonna suffer when this is all said and done. And I kind of made my mind up with that. And then once the breakup had happened, and it was so right for the both of us because she's doing really well now as well. I'm doing like really well. So like it was good for the both of us, and it was needed for the both of us. And we're sound now. And we always were kind of sound. But yeah, that was the turning point. Like that breakup was like, okay, it's time to fully work on me now.
Yeah, I completely relate because when I started on my like turning point when I first started losing weight, it was because I'd come out of a relationship that I was absolutely miserable in by the end. Um,
Mm,
there's a couple of things that you've said in there that I think are really like good points about. I was obviously the same as you, drinking a lot. And I don't think people, when you're in that mentality of going out all the time, it's not just the drinking, it's the eating shit that you do the next day. And it's like a vicious kind of cycle because we're doing all these things really for that instant gratification, that quick fix, because we think that it's them things that make us happy. And
mm,
actually, when you strip it all back, they're actually doing the opposite
mm,
to that. Would
mm.
you
Yeah,
find that?
yeah, when I was in a relationship, I think we used to have takeaway like Friday night because that was kind of like a thing we had going. Then I get like either paralytic Friday or Saturday, and then Sunday we'd go for like a really pang walk somewhere, and then have takeaway there as well. So like it was takeaway twice a week at least, and then in the week I was eating like at least three pizzas amongst like fried chicken and huge rice portions. So it was an absolute mess.
But you do because I think it's like a comfort thing. I think another good thing that you touched upon, and it's something obviously like you coach me and we've tried to work hard on, is sleep and actually the importance of rest. Because I think there's sometimes a bit of a, I don't know whether it's this, I want to say like hustle mentality sometimes, like, oh, you don't need to get a lot of sleep, you can survive on this amount of time, like work, but actually like rest is so important.
Mm.
And you've definitely highlighted to me like the importance of sleep, and definitely when it comes to training and stuff like that. What do you think it is when it comes to sleep that people don't see the importance of resting and like they struggle to rest? Would you say?
It's such a difficult one, because I think it then comes back to people's coping mechanisms as well. Like people's coping mechanisms for winding down a lot of the time is screen time. So whether that be a TV or on your phone, that is people's relaxing time. But the problem with that is if you've got a phone in front of your face, then you're basically tricking your body to think that it's still daylight. And then when you go to bed, you basically don't produce the same amount of hormone, melatonin, as you normally would if you just stuck to daytime and nighttime. So then you might even be getting 8 hours of sleep theoretically, but it's not 8 hours of sleep. It's not 8 hours of stage four quality sleep. So that was my big issue. It wasn't just watching bloody dog videos until 11 o'clock and then having to get up at like, it wasn't even 11 o'clock, it would be like 1 a.m. I have to get up at 6 a.m. And I'd still, so like, it wasn't even like 5 hours of sleep. It's probably like 3 hours of sleep consistently for months. Um, and then when I actually educated myself, like I was like, wow, this is pretty damaging to the old progression side of things for training. So I was like, yeah, this needs a fix up. But I think with people in general, I just don't think there's like a priority on sleep, because I think a lot of people's only time they prioritize sleep will be on the weekend. So they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a lie-in," but technically you wouldn't almost need a lie-in, and a lie-in doesn't fix your issues either. But um, if people just prioritize 7, 8, even 9 hours of sleep with no screen time, then a lot of people would be happier. Like I know my energy, so my energy is usually when I'm on a 10 out of 10 high energy, that's because I've had 8 hours of sleep. And particularly as well, if you're somebody that trains regularly, somebody that, really goes hard in your sessions, you're going to need that time to recover. It's not just, oh, I can get away with 6 or 7 hours. Like, no, your body, not only from a physical standpoint needs it, but your mental side of things need it as well, just to be kind of functioning, basically functioning the next day. Um, yeah, you need to really prioritize your sleep. Like out of the three things with, say, a fitness journey, let's say training is a third of it, recovery is another third of it, which is your diet and nutrition side of things. And then if you look at rest as like the third bit to your um, triangular kind of, I'm going to say pyramid, but that's the wrong word. But if you look at rest as the third part of it, then it's a big priority. So that's like adequate rest. So having enough days off to rest and having enough sleep is kind of a big priority. So yeah, that's where I'm at with sleep for
Be
people.
proud of me. I had 9.5 hours last night. Unheard of.
You had 9.5 hours.
8, I went to
Wow.
bed, woke up.
I had 8 hours sleep last night. It was good. I woke up and I set a different alarm to normal because I like changing things up now so that like it kind of surprises me. And I would like it went off and I was like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's my alarm, it's my phone. I was like, oh, it's a bit louder than the normal alarm. So I got really excited this morning.
No,
But I think you have to do things like that. You have to make like little like kind of like weird adjustments to be kind of like happy when you wake up is just such a win.
yeah, definitely. I think obviously we both know the importance of a morning routine, say, but I think as well, I think something we've both been embodying recently is actually not being so rigid with the morning routine and actually just changing it up a bit. Um,
Mm.
let's talk morning routines. Why are they important? Putting you on the
Start your
spot.
day off. If you start your day off with a good morning routine that is primarily focused for you and not focused on, oh, who's messaged me and who's texted me. And if you've got like all these outside influences on you, you're essentially not allowing yourself to de-stress in the morning because as you wake up, your cortisol levels are at their highest because you've just woken up. So you actually need a bit of time for them to come down and a little bit of a time to just almost like recuperate and set yourself up for the day. So your morning routine could include cold shower. If you're a bit of a badass out there, I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I'd recommend it
It
too.
could include like meditation. And this is the thing that people get caught up with meditation, right? It's not like, yeah, there is an aspect of it that is like that hippie side of it, but at the same time, like it's also just like it's almost being like thoughtless by being consciously thoughtful of the right thing. So like let's say you're
Yeah.
focused on your breath, like you're focused on your breath, and then if a thought comes in, you're like, oh, okay, thanks, but I don't need you right now. Like we're not focusing on that. So it's actually a good way to just kind of just process your kind of thoughts in the morning and make sure that your thoughts are kind of where you want them to be rather than waking up super stressed. Also, if you're listening, please, please, please stop drinking coffee as soon as you wake up. That includes tea as well. That is like the worst thing you can do for um, your stress levels throughout the day. Because if you imagine cortisol levels, so cortisol is your stress hormone, right?
Yeah.
So that's elevated in the morning. If you then add a cup of coffee or just caffeine in general to that in the morning, you're then elevating it even more. So you're starting your day off extra stressed. So yeah, it's a bit of a messy to do for yourself at the start of the day. Um, But yeah, I think morning routines are so essential just to make sure that like everything is kind of flowing the way you want them to flow in the morning. So like for example, my morning routine is like up, shower, as in cold shower, meditate, journal, go for a walk with a podcast, making a mindset math. And then and then and then have my first meal and then do some stretches and whatnot and then just get myself kind of either reading after that and then go to the gym or just get myself ready for the day really.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing for me is not going on. We say about screen time as well in the morning. Like I've had some of my clients who had really like bad anxiety, and the last thing they do before they go to bed is looking at the phone, and the first thing they do on the morning, he's put his glasses on. He looks intelligent now. Not that the people can see, but
Yeah, blue light glasses.
um, but one thing for me that was game changing is literally like not looking at my phone on a morning. And the same with this that you said about coffee. There's been like studies that actually like looking at your phone first thing and that screen reduces the stress hormone. It not reduce increases the stress hormone, increases anxiety, as well
Mm.
because you're just plugged in straight away and then you've lost it. Another thing that I just on the meditation, I think a lot of people just having that silence in the morning. It doesn't even mean you need to sit and meditate, but just actually just being unplugged from anything and just observing your thoughts. I mean, I walk to the gym and I've stopped listening to a podcast just so that I've got that 25 minutes where I'm not plugged into anything. I don't look at my phone. I just walk. I just sort of like focus on my breath as I'm walking if the thoughts pop into my head. And I think that's a bit of a misconception with meditation that you have to be sat there, but it's just literally
Mm.
about you just concentrating on one thing.
Mm.
But the coffee thing, I did actually learn that from you. What is it? An hour after you wake up? It's the best
An
time.
hour after you wake up is the best time to do
Yeah.
it if you're going to do it. And then try not to have too many in the day. Like don't have any past 3 p.m. Because essentially coffee and caffeine have a half-life. So half-life means that let's say I think it's about 6 to 8 hours. I can't remember off the top of my head. 8 hours maybe? Yeah, maybe 8 hours. Let's just say 8 hours for now. So 8 hours after you've had your coffee, it's um it's at half its potency as it was when you first had it. So then what that means is then after another 8 hours, it's at half that potency of that half before. So if you're having it at like past 3 p.m., it's like it's like having it pretty fresh, if you know what I mean. Like it's not good for your sleep to be caffeinated up before you go to bed because your quality of sleep is going to be down because your heart rate is going to be up. So yeah, it's not the one. And then as well, if you're constantly like topping it up with more and more tea or more and more coffee, you're essentially just going to make yourself more tired because your body's always kind of reliant on running off of that caffeine. That's why as well, like regular coffee and tea drinkers, it's really good to kind of have a week off, which a lot of people be like, oh, I can go a week off, can go a week off. I think if you're one of those people, it'd be a good idea to have a week off.
I think as well, I mean, I think recently I've drank a bit more coffee. I don't normally drink that much, maybe like one a day. But I guess it's your mindset around it as well. If you tell yourself you can't do something, you've already got that resistance. You're already setting yourself up for failure. Where it's just, I think it's your perspective, isn't it? How you look at things. I think that comes with like anything, not just fitness wise or diet wise. A lot of people, even like for example, I'll use myself as an example, training for this half marathon. I was like, I can't run a half marathon. Well, actually, yeah, I can run a half marathon because I've had to switch my mindset from it. And I guess it's the same. You probably find, I don't know if you find it with like people that come to you with fitness, like they don't think that they can do it. And it's about switching that perspective
Mm,
of
mm,
actually like, yeah, you can do it, but it's just how
mm.
what are you looking at? What way are you looking at it? I don't even know if that makes sense. Can't get my words out. What way?
Yeah. I follow you. I follow you. So, on the topic of coffee, real quick, it's 3 to 5 hours. So it's not 8 hours,
All
but
right,
yeah,
three to
three to
five
five.
hours.
But yeah, on the topic of yeah, people not believing they can do it, like not believing you can do anything, not believing you can change your life, is what is always going to hold you back. Like if you're constantly thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm not going to be able to do this, then ask yourself right now, like, what do you think the result of that is going to be? You give it a few seconds, but it's pretty easy to work out. You're not going to be able to achieve it if you don't believe that you can achieve it. It sounds so cliche. You've got to believe to achieve, right? So, yeah, um, switching that mindset from people that think, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to lose this weight, or I'm not going to be able to hit this marathon." Like, of course you're not if you're going to think like that, but you do genuinely have to switch things up, and that's why mindset is so important. Like, not only for fitness but life in itself. Like, if you don't believe you're gonna go after something, then it's never going to happen. But if you put that self-belief in yourself, and you knock back that self-doubt when it comes up, and you knock it back ASAP when it comes up, you're going to do big things. Like, genuinely, you could be the next Jeff Bezos, the next Elon Musk. Put enough self-belief into it, enough work, and allocate yourself to the next resources. Like, I'm not the person to tell you that you can't do that, because everything is fucking possible.
It is, everything is possible. Like we our mind is limitless. Like the potential that we have is limitless, and I think it's just about like what do you feed your mind with? Because if you're feeding your mind with stuff that's telling you that you can't, well, you're not going to be able to do it. Like I think you and I both know that. But believe that you can and feed yourself with enough and surround yourself with people. And it's not even just about the people that you surround yourself with, the things that you listen to. I mean, I don't, for example, there's a lot of negativity about I don't watch the news. Best decision I've ever made, like not watching like the news, and just like even on like social media, like unfollowing things that just don't add value.
Mm.
I think that's what people think. They think that your diet is like just about what you eat, but it's literally not. Because if you think about if you're feeding your brain, it's about what you consume. What would be your sort
Mm.
of what's your standpoint on that?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said on I said on Laura's podcast that, like, if you don't think that you can be happier like right now, just stop watching the news for a week and then tell me that you're not happier. Because
Oh god, it's
what you've got to
true.
realize about the what you've got to realize about the news is that they have people employed, like psychological researchers, that literally will find the most negative story that is going to draw in the most views, because negativity sells, right? We as
Yeah,
humans focus on negativity because that negativity 10,000 years ago could have been a real threat to our health. Like, it's survival, right? That's how we've come up through evolution, is through survival, to believe that negativity is life or death. So we focus on it. That's why incessantly as humans we are negative, like, and we focus on negative, because that for us is the most important thing. However, it's not life or death, right? So if you focus on the news, which is always being fed in with negativity,
yeah,
then you're going to actually incessantly be a bit of a negative person as well. Like, you're going to focus on more negative things. More of the negativity is going to be fed into you as well. Yeah, I'm the same with you with social media as well. Anything that makes me feel negative about myself, anything that I compare myself to, anything that doesn't genuinely inspire me, I've started cutting out, just cutting it out. Like, even down to people I follow. Like, I'm like, if this isn't adding value to me, it's not going to be added to me, because it's wasted energy, right? Like,
yeah,
this is
completely.
where you can really easily sap your energy in the day. Like, if you watched a genuine like documentary or listen to a podcast like this is information you're going to remember, because it's not short based kind of energy. Whereas if you're scrolling on your phone, new video, new video, new video, new video, new video, like, tell me after an hour of scrolling like two videos, like, about what all of it was about, or like some more collective things that really impacted your life, it's going to be more difficult, right? Because your brain's going to be kind of like so fried and so thinking about different little stresses and different little things. It's going to be like, okay, so where do I sort of go with all this kind of information? Whereas if you're focused on like one topic and like one thing, it's like, okay, we can do something with this.
Yeah,
Like, we can move forward. But then you've got a question with, is this something positive that's benefiting me, or is this something negative and it's trying to portray something else? So then there's your choice as well into what you want to feed yourself into. And it does amaze me that people were literally like, people were like, oh, the bloody news, like, oh, the news is always so negative type thing. And I'm like, yeah, like, okay, so stop watching it. Like, people will sit down to watch the news to continue their suffering and like continue their life of fear. And I'm like, why? Like, why?
It is.
Please do
It's
yourself a
habit, isn't
favor.
it, for
Just
people?
shut it off.
But I think as well, then I think what people as well, what I've learned about the news, it's not. There may be some fact in it, but it's actually not that factual. It is just its opinion, because obviously you've got different stations saying different things, and what, like you said, negativity breeds negativity, and that's what the news says. Because fear, you got fear of controlling people. You put people in this state of panic, they're in this negative mindset. You can control them, and I think when you sort of move yourself away from consuming that, you actually have like a wider awareness to actually like what the bigger picture is. And it's just because it just consumes you, it consumes your mind. So you're putting all your energy into something that's not even actually benefiting you personally.
It's like with, I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole here now, but
We could
like
go
it's
down
like
a
with
rabbit hole.
COVID. Like it's like okay, we fucking get it. Like there's a pandemic. Okay, cool. We get it. People getting vaccinated. Okay, cool. Like, we just need to hear the numbers, and that's it. Like, we don't need to hear about this. We don't need to hear about so and so who's died. We don't need to hear about this. It's just more negativity, and then it's just creating more divide as well. You've got people who listen to a certain side of like factual information that are going to decipher one thing and based on their own life experience, and then you've got the other people on the other side. And this is the thing with news and media outlets, is it's always creating a divide.
Yeah.
And divide, what's the statement? Divided we are weak, together we are strong, something like that. But essentially, if people find their love for each other,
Yeah.
whether you have a choice to be vaccinated or unvaccinated, whether you believe in COVID, don't believe in COVID, whatever, like, if you find love for each other, then it wouldn't matter what your decisions would be. It wouldn't matter what your opinions would be on the matter, because you're like, you know what? I appreciate you have this, and I appreciate you have this, and then we can move forward together from there. Whereas if you're always creating this divide, like, oh, I'm right, you're wrong, because naturally as humans, you don't want to feel wrong. Like,
Yeah.
people's ego protecting them here. Like, nobody likes to feel wrong. A lot of people aren't open to feeling wrong, because being open to being wrong means that they're open to being mistakes. And as you've been a child, as you've grown up, right, everybody gets this kind of fear of failure, because when you make a mistake when you're a child, like, that's seen as a life and death thing. Like, if you cross the road without looking, you're gonna get like told
Shouted
off
at
by
by
your
your
parents,
parents.
right? Which is obviously right. Like, we don't want you getting run over. Like, don't take this podcast information and be like, I'm gonna go and cross the road without looking, because I don't have fear. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But obviously we've been brought up on like this, like, fear of failure created by being told off by mistakes. So that means that as we've grown up as humans, what we're thinking is, oh, you know what? If I make a mistake, or if I'm wrong, it's really bad. It's like a really bad thing, and it's a life and death thing. So then that means that people aren't open to being wrong, and people almost have like an ignorance and a denial to being wrong, because it makes them kind of feel sick inside. But it's kind of not the way to move forward. You have to be open to new opinions, and you have to be open to loving someone regardless of what
Yeah.
their views could be.
Definitely, and I think that's where it is. It's about having that. I did a podcast a couple of months ago with my friends, and afterwards my friend said to me, he's like, you're so level-minded. And I think what he meant by that is, I've learned actually that just because someone's opinion might differ from mine, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Just like my opinion is not right or wrong. It's about being able to meet people in the middle and understand actually, like, there's two perspectives to everything. And actually, once someone's brought something into your awareness, just because you might not agree with it, it doesn't mean that you like love that person or don't respect them just because they differ to yours. It's about being able to, and I think we've spoken about this before, about meeting people where they're at. And actually, just because someone's opinion does differ, it doesn't actually mean like their opinion is wrong, because it's all about their life experiences and their personal experience. And it's just how you view it. if you go around thinking that your opinion is right all the time, like you're never going to learn, you're never going to grow as a person because you're not allowing anything else in.
Yeah, if you think that the moment that you think you know it all is the moment you genuinely know nothing. Like the moment I thought that I knew everything about training was the weeks when I was getting injured and injured and injured and injured. And it sounds so silly now, but like that ego of thinking that I was always right was what was killing me. Like the ego will ruin your life.
Yes.
Your ego genuinely will ruin your life if you allow it to. So you have to be so open to being like, okay, so there could be something that I'm doing wrong here, or there could be a different way of looking at this, and you have to be ready and open for that.
Yeah, I think it is true. Like you have to always be, is it always in the student mindset? Because like you said, the minute you think that you know everything, actually, that's your downfall. I do think as well. I mean, I don't want to say. I'm just trying to think how to word it. I think we're obviously brought up thinking that failure is wrong, and actually failure is the thing where we learn the most. And I think a lot of people as well, we are brought up to that asking for help is a sign of weakness, but actually asking for help is a sign of strength, because knowing that you don't know something and there's someone out there that possibly could help you just shows that you're willing to be like, hold on a second, I want to get here. And it's not a sign of weakness at all. And I think it's just about changing the perspective on that, that actually asking for help is not weak. Looking at someone, if someone's got where you want to be, you're going to go and ask them how they got there so you can get there quicker, rather than be like, I can do it all by myself, which is the ego. And actually you're not moving forward at all. You just stood
Yeah,
still.
I always find it crazy, like thinking about some of the old quotes that you've been brought up with, or that you've heard along your kind of journey. It's like the one where it's like, oh, if you want a job done well, do it yourself.
Yeah.
What a stupid quote that is. Like, if I want to build a website, that's going to take me years, like to have the capability to do that. Like, I'm going to pay someone to do that, because why would I waste my time and allow my ego to think that I'm better at doing it than somebody who's well qualified and has spent years training to do that? Like, yeah, sure, you could build your own house, you could do that, or you could pay a load of builders to do it for you who literally do that for their living. Like, if you want a job done well, give it to somebody who knows what they're doing. Is what you should be doing. Like, and that includes asking for help. What people don't realize is they're technically asking for help a lot of the time in their life. So if you go to the supermarket, you don't know where something is, or you're in a rush, you're straight to the supermarket assistant, ask, where is this? But people don't realize that's asking for help, but it is. So you have to be in that beginner's mindset that you don't know it all, and that there are people that know things more so than you do, and it's very worth your time investing into that. Maybe that investment is a conversation. This is what I mean. Whenever you
Yeah.
think about investments, people think, oh, you're paying for it.
No,
It's not
definitely.
necessarily paying, it's investing your time. Like, would you like to spend your time asking a supermarket assistant where something is, so that you've got more time rather than
You
walking around
looking
the
for
shop
it.
aimlessly? Or would you like your ego to get in the way and be like, oh, I don't want to ask them. I don't want to ask them. Why? Literally, they know where their shit is. It's not going to cost you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And it is about that time. Like a lot of the time, like time is to me is the greatest currency, because once your time's gone, you literally can't get that time back. Once the time's passed,
Mm,
that's it. You've lost that moment. Um, so it's about that. It's that cost. It's like that thing, isn't it? What's the cost if you don't do it? Actually, your time's the
mm,
cost, and it's just sort of if you get
mm,
yourself out the way of yourself, then
mm,
you could be saving yourself a lot of time by finding someone that is an expert in what they do, so that you can push yourself forward, whether that be in the gym, that's in business, it can be in anything that you want to do. We all specialize in something. We all have our own strengths. We also have a lot of weaknesses. And yes, we
mm,
can build our weaknesses up over time. But if you want something doing, focus on your strengths. And it's like, where can I actually get help with the things that I'm a bit weaker at? Because actually, and I can build on my strengths and what I'm good at. And actually, there's other people that can help push me forward.
100%, 100%.
That's the same in the gym, though, because we all think we know it all, but we don't know
I
it
don't know
all.
all. I don't know. Like, I literally literally have my clients all send me videos of them training, and I take videos myself to send to other people. Because here's the thing, like every session you've got to treat it like you're an athlete, right? Like I don't give a shit if you don't think you're an athlete or not. Like treat it like you're an athlete, and you'll genuinely have such a better session than just going in there and half-assing it.
Yeah.
If you go in there going like, okay, like this is how I want to execute things, this is how it's going to run, this is how I'm going to structure things, then you're going to have a very good session. You're going to feel better because you've had a good session, rather than going, oh, I might try this, I might try this, I might try this. Oh, I'm kind of done now and I'll leave. That's not going to help you. Like, yeah, you're going to feel a little bit better because you've gone to the gym, but you're essentially going to the gym in your comfort zone because you're doing what's comfortable to you.
Yeah.
Even if you're pushing yourself, you're not going in with structure. This is a big problem I have with people, is that people don't go in with structure. They don't go in with a plan, or they think that they need to change the session every time to shock the muscle. Load of bullshit. You don't. So you have to go in with a plan. Like the same as like if you're going to buy a house, like you need to have some form of plan together, right? You need to have some form of like saving money. You need to have some form of like a goal that you're going to get towards. So if you're doing that with your house, if you're doing that with your life, why not apply that to your training? And then you're going to literally have an easier kind of roadmap to getting what you want faster.
Yeah, it's good to have a plan for like everything that you go into. This it just depends. It's all in like the mindset of how you look at things, because they say how you do one thing is like how you do a lot of things. And I think as well, a lot of people with exercise. I say a lot of people. That's a real generalization. We shouldn't generalize. I'm maybe talking from my experience in the past. We'll talk about me. We'll go to the gym and just be like, "Oh, I can't be asked. I'm just going because I think I've got to go." Whereas now, for example, I've switched that mindset. I go because it's a huge form of self care. It's like therapy. The feeling after a good workout and pushing yourself, to me, there's not really a greater feeling than that, than when you go in. And exercise, like you said, is amazing for your mental health. And it doesn't, we're not saying it has to be vigorous exercise, like where you're really pushing yourself and you're going at 100 miles, even just there's something as simple, which for going out for walks, like in the day, just getting up and just moving your body. We're human, like
Mm.
we're designed to move. We're not designed for this sedentary lifestyle. And I think even just the power of being outside and being outdoors in nature is really like underrated. And just
Mm.
walking and literally just moving your body.
Mm. Moving your body's the one. Like, if you feel a little bit down, literally just get out of your house and go for a walk. A lot of people think that you have to go like really far for a walk. You don't. You can literally find a little bit of like nature, a local park, something like that. Like, just go for a walk, get out in some nature. You'll feel 200 times better, I guarantee it.
Just right. So to round up the episode, what would you say your key things are for people that maybe are just getting into a fitness journey slash mindset journey? What would be your like sort of key takeaway of how of a simple way of implementing something, or something that they can go and action right now?
Have a plan, number one. Have a plan of what you want to do. So maybe you want to be happier, maybe you want to lose some weight, maybe you want to put on some weight. Like, but have a plan. Be like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I wouldn't necessarily like aim for a certain amount of weight. Like, weight's a bit of a difficult one, but I would say I want to feel happy by looking a certain way. I want to feel happy by doing this. But also remember, you can be happy now. Like,
Yeah.
you can choose to be happy now. You don't have to put your happiness into thinking, I'll be happy when I get here. A lot of people have that problem
Yeah.
in life. They think, if I get this new car, I'll be happy. If I get this new house, I'll be happy. Nah, you can be happy now. Like, just choose the things that are going to make you happy. And off the back of that, with your goal, is have a little bit of a goal and a think about like what makes you happy. If you can't list down 10 things that make you happy, take some time, be like, okay, what are 10 things that make me happy? You do those 10 things. Like, if you do 5 of those things in a week, I guarantee your life improves, and I guarantee that the news isn't part of that. But No, genuinely, just try and get down those 5 things that make you happy, and then you can move forward from there. And then, like, your goals will be an easier thought process because you're doing things that make you happy. So then, off the back of that, you're like, okay, like 6, like what else is going to make me happy? You start bringing in more happiness towards yourself rather than shutting down and shutting off and kind of closing off, really.
Yeah, I think just one thing that I'm just going to touch on, I was rounding up the episode, what you said in there is about you can be happy now. Take it from me as someone I've been on a huge physical development journey. I lost 4 stone and was still miserable inside. It didn't matter that I'd lost weight because I didn't change like the internal dialogue of how I was speaking to myself. It is about falling in love with the journey because we've said earlier on in the episode, the goal is infinite. Like the goal is never ending. You don't get to a certain point and be happy because there's always another goal. And I think that's just a really important like point to make on that especially when it comes to weight, like there's so many factors that fluctuate your weight. It's not just as simple as, oh, I'm going to get to this certain weight because women, there's fertility, like your menstrual cycle, your sleep affects it. You might build muscle, your body might be changing in other ways. So I think one thing, just from my personal experience, is learn not to get too obsessed with the scales. And actually, it's about how you feel within yourself rather than get fixated on a number.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you put your happiness into a number, as soon as that number goes outside of what you want, you're going to be unhappy. Like, how many people try and go on a weight loss journey and they try and lose a pound a week, and if they don't lose that pound, they're really unhappy and they're back to their old habits. That's a right
Yeah.
mess. There's so many things that could happen in a week for you not to for you to not lose a pound. And a weight loss journey is not it's not it's not linear. It will go up and down,
Yeah.
and it will need to come back up at some point anyway if you've dropped your calories. Like, we could go on another whole topic here, and
Yeah,
we're
I know.
rounding it up,
I
but
know we're rounding it up and now just opening up a can of
can't
worms.
you can't just consistently cut your calories and be at like 1200. You need to bring them back up once you've done your initial bit of weight loss. Like, you do need to bring them back up and allow your metabolism to not only recover but come back to a point where it can process those calories and you can continue to lose weight.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just gonna like just say you're not validated by your weight. Like your weight doesn't determine who you are as a person and what you have to offer to this world. And I think social media can be sometimes, I found in the past, like people think you need to have this perfect physique to like validate you. Like that doesn't validate who you are as a person, like what you offer to
Mm.
people and like what you stand for. So it is
Yeah.
just it's just something else we fixate on. But I did say I was going to round it up because we could just go down a whole nother rabbit hole here. So we best stop because I'll just start going on. But where can people find you? Have you got anything exciting coming out soon? Yeah, where can the people find you?
So you guys can find me primarily on Instagram, so at luke.anning. It will say superhero body and mindset coach. I'm working on, very excited. Oh, I've actually got, I don't know if you guys will, I don't know if the episode will be out by time, but I'm due to do a free announcement about getting a free coaching call. So that could be a really good thing for you guys. If any of you have mental health issues, that's kind of like my big focus with people. Um, and yeah, it would just be really good to connect with some people. I absolutely love everyone who comes to my page because I'm like, oh, let me impact your life. Like, oh, let me give you some good vibes. So yeah, no, come over. We'll have a good time. I'll try and make you laugh and I'll try and impact your life. And of course, like, I guess like a little bit of a message for anybody like leaving, like, or listening, is like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing in your life, do something about it.
Most definitely. You have the power to create the change. It's all within you. But thank you so much for taking your time to be here and be a guest. I really, really do appreciate it. As always, I appreciate you.
You're so welcome, and
yeah,
thank you so much for having me.
You are more than welcome.
Midweek night.
Midweek night. Look at this. Well, it's a Thursday evening. It probably got out in a couple of weeks, this episode, actually. But yes, we'll round it up there. As like I always end it, here is to making your mindset truly matter. So thank you for listening to today's episode. If you have taken any value from it or you know someone that will benefit from this episode, please do share it with them. Share it on your socials. And as always, here is to making your mindset truly matter.